네, 안녕하세요. 자이언트TV 시청자 여러분. 매일경제 실리콘밸리에 나와 있는 신현규 특파원입니다. 오늘은 사업을 하시는 분들을 위한 컨텐츠를 좀 준비해봤습니다. 비즈니스를 하시는 분들은 항상 고민을 하시지 않습니까? 내 사업이 어떻게 하면 더 성장할 수 있을지, 내 사업을 어떻게 하면 더 잘 많은 사람들한테 알릴 수 있을지, 세상에 뭔가 거대한 파도가 밀려오는 것 같은데 나는 어떻게 이 파도를 잡을 수 있을지 궁금해하시는 분들이 많을 것 같습니다. 네, 실리콘밸리에 계시는 벤처 투자자분들은 많은 스타트업들에 투자를 하시면서 그런 창업자분들이 새로운 파도를 잡을 수 있게끔 도와주시고 계시거든요. 그런 분야에 있어서 오늘 가장 전문가 중에 한 분이라고 할 수 있는 남태희 스톰벤처스 대표님을 모시고 이야기를 들어보겠습니다. 대표님 안녕하세요. 네. In your book, I guess the 고투마켓핏 is really great concept, and I think it'll be really helpful to Korean businessmen in general, and as well as the Korean founders who just started their businesses. So can you walk us through what is the concept and how it can be applied to their, behaviors?
The whole idea behind it is that product market fit is a well-defined term. And what we found though with our companies is just because they found product market fit is that they didn't unlock growth. So in addition to product market fit, they needed to find go-to-market fit, which is that repeatable growth formula. And so it was really important that they find that before they start scaling. Otherwise, they would hire a lot of people, burn a lot of money, and then never achieve growth, and then we would lose money and the company will fail. So we said that before scaling, it's really important that you not only find product market fit, but that go-to-market fit.
I think the concept of the repeatable is really important, and is there any playbooks or is there any manual for that?
Yes. So there is, and we've actually come out with a new website for free. It's a beta version. It's called unlock.survivaltothrival.com, where we share a 4-step recipe.
Oh, okay.
And I know Koreans are good with recipes,
Yes.
with golf and all that, and so are founders, and so that's why we came up with this recipe. And it's like as you want to go from paddling to surfing.
Right.
And the first thing is you have to catch a wave. The second is ride the wave. The third is to have that right surfboard, and then to use metrics to get better. So, but the first one, catch the wave, is important. And the first step of that is to address an urgent pain.
Urgent pain.
And this is where we see a lot of founders and companies fail, is that they don't address an urgent pain. And so if you don't address an urgent pain, which answers the question, why buy now? It's like you never catch that wave.
So finding the urgent wave is the first thing that...
Urgent pain, yes.
Urgent pain
Yes.
is the first thing that a businessman should do.
Yes.
And what's the next?
So once you have an urgent pain, it's the first step of the customer journey. And so it's understanding the entire customer journey.
Right.
So instead of thinking about how can I sell more to the customer, it's about how to make my customer into a hero. It's like, how do I get my customer, my champion, promoted? You see. So in the beginning, you want to address an urgent pain, so they have to make a decision. And then after you solve that urgent pain, if you can help make that customer into a hero, then you have a customer for life. And with that, you have a way that you can get a lot of new customers. And so once you have that customer journey, the second step is building a playbook, which is how to help customers in that journey. And that's like having the right surfboard. And so in playbooks, you'll hear different terms like sales-led growth, marketing-led growth, product-led growth, which is very popular right now. So you have all these different go-to-market playbooks. But the first step is to understand the customer journey. And then the playbook is how to help customers in that journey.
At this moment, there are lots of social medias, and when businesses can achieve their own growth, then it is inevitable for them to use the social medias and all the marketing tools and everything. And you brought up the great concept of the thought leaders, I guess. And what is that concept, and can you explain how the businesses can utilize the concept of the thought leadership?
Yeah, thought leadership is something that I find is perfect for startups.
Okay.
Thought leadership can mean a lot of different things, but to me, thought leadership is simply how do you help your champion solve the urgent pain and become a hero? You know, how can you help them get promoted? And a good example of this is that I had invested in a company called Marketo, one of the early marketing software companies, and I was on the board for 10 years.
Wow.
The first user conference, they had 25 people. The last user conference I went to, there were 6,000 people
6,000.
in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And there were several people sitting next to me, and I would ask this person, I asked everyone, why are you at this conference?
Oh, okay.
And so there was this one woman who was at the conference. She was 25 years old, and she said she's a young marketer and wanted to learn from the best marketers. She wanted to hang out with the best marketers so she could be a great marketer herself.
Okay.
And so she wanted to come to this conference, but the company wasn't doing well, so they said, we can't afford to have you go. So she took a vacation, stayed at a hotel with a colleague, asked the Marketo sales rep for a free pass so she could come and hang out and learn from the best. That's what thought leadership is to provide that kind of advice to help people become superstars and heroes.
I think these days, not even for the IT companies, but the other companies like ice cream companies and the other consumer product companies, they are using the concept of the product and thought leadership as well. And I think that concept is really helpful to Korean normal small businesses as well. Yeah,
I think it's incredibly helpful for Korean small businesses or any business, but especially the ones outside the United States. Because thought leadership is something you can control.
Right.
You know, number one. Second, if you really believe in something, then it just is natural.
Right.
And so you will want to share and you can be that thought leader. And I find that startups can attack with thought leadership. Big companies try to avoid controversy, and therefore they cannot be thought leaders. Thought leader is about a new provocative way of doing something. Because if it's more about the same, no one's interested.
My last question is about the unlearning. I mean, you said that in your second book, the unlearning thyself as a CEO is really important thing to keep the growth of the company. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Right. In our second book, we were addressing the question, why is growth so hard on people? In other words, as companies work so hard to unlock growth, and then all of a sudden, founder CEOs need to get replaced. And we as a board and VCs never want to do that. And so what it is that as the company grows, the company changes, even though the title doesn't. And people need to change, or they will be changed. I'll give you a specific example. Is that and the company as the company grows, there are three different CEO types. At the beginning of the company, the best CEO is like Captain America or Wonder Woman.
Okay.
You know, sort of is a leader of the troops, does everything, fights with the troops, eats with the troops, you know, knows everything, makes all the decisions. And up to about 40, 50 employees, this is the best structure. But as the company grows, what the CEO should be is, instead of Captain America, is to hire Avengers, to hire a VP of sales who's a better salesperson, hire a marketing person who's a better marketing person. So each VP has a superpower that's stronger than the CEO. So the CEO has to give up control and empower the executives. So they have to unlearn control and empower in this manner. And then as the company grows even bigger, it's really now more like Professor Xavier and the X-Men, where he's like a head of a university with all these X-Men. And there it's about vision and culture. Having the right vision and the right culture so that the entire organization can go in one direction and be successful.
So is it better to have all the culture set up in the first place, or is it better for them to build the culture step by step?
I find the best thing is to define the culture at the beginning of the company. The reason is whether the founders say this is the culture or not, everyone else will believe this is the culture.
Okay.
So since people are going to, I'd rather, if I were a founder, define it than to leave it up to others. So I think it's always best to define it, but then every 2 years reevaluate how the culture changes as the company grows.
I think that was really powerful message, and I think this will be very helpful to Korean entrepreneurs and the businessmen. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.